All right. Okay, you can go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to Tuesday. We're in our nature week, and today we're here with Miss Laura. I just typed in the materials for today into the chat room, but for anybody who might be watching on YouTube later, the materials for today are paper, preferably white paper, scissors, markers or crayons, glue or glue stick, and then if you have pipe cleaner or string, you can use that today, but if you don't, that's okay. Miss Laura will go over that when she gets into the activity. If you have any questions for Laura during today's activity, you're welcome to type them into the chat, or you can use the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. I'll keep an eye on that and pop in to let her know that you had a question. And then finally, I forgot to say this yesterday, so we have a Ridgeville hug that we like to share with you since we can't see your faces. But all you do is you make a sign, letter R, and you just do circles around your heart. And that's a Ridgeville hug. So with my Ridgeville hug, I hand it over to Miss Laura.
Good morning. I'm so glad you're here. So it's Nature Week. So we're going to do some nature kind of things. I always start with a story, and then we always do a craft. And I'm going to give you lots of options on ways to do the craft because I like lots of options. I want you to be creative. And then we always end with a movement thing. So I will tell you right off the bat that our craft could take hours. And I think some of you might really want to take hours to do our craft. We're going to do it, medium time so that we can make sure and save time for our movement today. An hour goes by really fast when we're doing these workshops. If you've been here before, you know it goes pretty fast. So the most important thing for these workshops with me is that you try. If it's really hard, that's okay. Ask for help. If you get frustrated with what we're doing and it's just not working for you, that's okay too. You tried, and maybe you tried something you haven't tried before, or maybe it's just not working today. That's okay. We want to try new things, and we want to see if we can discover new things, right? So if it doesn't work, that's all right. Try it again or try another time. I'm very, very interested in not doing things perfectly. I'm interested in doing things the way that we do them. And then sometimes interesting things happen. So our story for today is called Miss Maple's Seeds. You might know this story. Sometimes I think kids can have a hard time listening to a story, especially when somebody's reading it through a tablet. Maybe you have a tablet, or maybe a small screen phone or iPod, or maybe a computer screen, which is also pretty small lots of times. So if you're feeling like you have the wiggles, some things that can help you are to maybe snuggle with a stuffy or a softie or a puppet or a stuffed animal, whatever it is that you call it. The other thing that you might do is color while I'm reading the story, and you can look back and forth or draw. That can also help kids with wiggles sometimes, especially because you're probably not snuggled up on the couch, right? So on that note, let's get our space ready before we start our story. If you need to run and get a softie or something, or get some supplies together, I'll do a countdown for you so that you can do that. Let's make sure you've got space to work in front of you. Make sure you have your craft supplies ready. Oh, look at me. I don't have my craft supplies ready. You want some white paper, or any kind of paper really. White will be easier today. You want your coloring materials, crayons, colored pencils, markers, whatever you have is perfect. Maybe you have chalk, gray paws, paint. Whatever you have is perfect, as long as your family says you're allowed to use it today. You're going to need a glue or a glue stick. Particularly for younger children, remember we've got children as young as 2.5 years old all the way up to 8 joining us today. So I'm going to offer you lots of things. Younger children especially are going to want your glue sticks today. Older children, you might want to get a little fancy, and fancy might work easier with this kind of glue, but we're only going to use a drop. So I'll tell you more about that. And then of course your scissors. We're going to make sure and hold our scissors, right? All right. If you have pipe cleaners and string, I'll give you some options for those, but we probably won't take the time to do them today. So if you need to go get any of those things, you need to get a softie, maybe you need to get a paper to color while I read my story. I'm going to give you a countdown from 10 today. You can count down, I'll count down from 10, and then, sorry, my big boy is blowing water outside and the mailman's trying to come. You go get what you need while I count to 10. Finish cleaning up your space. We'll get ready to focus. Are you ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, here we come back. Are we all ready? And a 1. Let's read about Miss Maple's seeds. If you were here last week, it's kind of, my pictures are a little smaller again this week, but I really like the story, so I thought it was worth it. I'll show you the pictures up close, okay? On a bright August morning, Miss Maple flies home. She has hurried ahead of the flock to get ready for her guests. Miss Mabel has traveled all summer long, searching the land for orphan seeds that got lost in the spring planting. She hopes to help them grow strong here in her maple tree and get ready for next year's planting. Forgot to tell you, the story is written by Eliza Wheeler. You know what? She's also the illustrator. She's also the person who did the pictures. Beautiful pictures. She learns each seed by heart, all similar, yet none the same. Take care, my little ones, Miss Maple says, for the world is big and you are small. See all those different kinds of seeds? I have so many of these in my yard right now. Do you too? Anybody have any acorn seeds? Miss Maple takes them on field trips to learn about being a seed. Some will be carried by the river and land in soft, muddy soils. Friends of the river will help them bloom in safe places. Can you imagine seeds going on a field trip? It's incredible. They tour the grassy field and thick forests. Many seeds will be blown here, where rich soil will keep their pods healthy, and the sun and rain will help them grow tall. In bustling gardens, seeds must take care to stay clear of weedy characters. Oh, weedy characters. Snuggled in each night, Miss Maple reads flower tales by a firefly light. Before going to bed, she whispers, "Take care, my little ones, for the world is big and you are small." Those fireflies making light for her to read. Winter comes with the snow, a time to stay cozy and dry. Neighborhood friends gather to share their supplies of hot maple syrup, old corn husks, and juicy fruit rinds. Together they pass the long months with stories and songs. When spring comes, thunderstorms pour curtains of rain. "Don't be afraid, raindrops help us grow," Miss Maple says to the seeds. They learn to dance and burrow into the muddy ground. On a windy May morning, the last spring petals drift down from the sky. The time has come for Miss Maple to send her seeds off to find roots of their own. Getting ready to send her seeds off in the springtime, right? They set out on an exciting new journey into the wide unknown. Some seeds will take root in nearby gardens, while others will travel onto distant winds and faraway tides. Miss Mabel has given them guidance and love, and now her part in the story has come to an end. They say their goodbyes with sweet memories past and bright futures ahead. As Miss Mabel gazes out across the land below, she whispers, "Take care, my little ones, for the world is big and you are small. But never forget, even the grandest of trees once had to grow up from the smallest of seeds." Into the evening, she sips her green tea in the quiet hollow of the old maple tree. But the end of each season is a start to the next. One summer morning, Miss Mabel grabs her willow weed hat, whistles a merry tune, and sets off to follow the faraway call of other lost seeds waiting to be found. She does it again. She starts all over. Look at her go. And that's the end. Miss Maple's seeds. All right. So I want to ask you what you thought about Miss Maple's seeds, because there's so many stories that can come out of this story, but I can't. Maybe you could send me a video of what you think about Miss Maple's seeds. So we're going to make some flowers, right? Flowers start as seeds, and they need what to grow? What do they need? They need dirt, right? They need water, rain, right? And what else do seeds need to grow? Something we need also, it gives us vitamin D. Sunlight, right? So seeds need dirt, water, and sunlight to grow, yes? And so we're going to not do the usual seed to a flower thing. We're going to move that. We're just going to make the flowers. And this is an example of a flower that I made. I'm going to show you how to make. And this is an example of the flower that my big boy made. And I think I have to step away for just a second. I'm going to put you on pause while you get your things ready. All right, I'm sorry about that, everybody. Sometimes it's hard to do two things at one time. So I wanted to tell you that I got this idea because I was trying to figure out a craft to do with my big boy, who's being a little bit naughty today. And we made butterflies. So I started by using shaving cream and food coloring to dye our papers. And then we fold them and glue them together to make the butterflies. But I love doing it, and I love how they look, right? Each one's a little bit unique, which I also like. But I really wanted to do flowers with you to go with Miss Maple's seeds. So this is how we're going to do them. And then I'll give you some options. I'll give you lots of options, actually. Okay? So here's how we're going to start. going to start with the easiest part of the whole thing. First thing we're going to do is color either one side of your whole white paper or color both sides. It's up to you. And I'll tell you, if you use a crayon and press hard or light and color fast, it will go faster. You can also layer your colors a little bit more. This is crayon, and I layered my colors. And this is an example of coloring both sides of my piece of paper. So I've got colors on both sides of my flower. Nathan chose to only color one side of his piece of paper. So he has a little bit different pattern going on, and his glue is coming off here. I'm going to hold it together a little longer. So it's up to you if you want to color one side or both sides. You might take a nice amount of time to color, and you might run out of time before I move on to the next thing. That's okay. You can always go back and color more another day, or do another one where you've colored both sides, okay? Because like I said, this could take hours, right? So let's start by coloring our paper. Colored pencils, crayons, markers, chalk. You could even use paint. Paint will be trickier because it won't dry fast enough, but you could do paint later in the day. Let's see, I did crayons last time. I think I'm going to do crayons again. And I also want to show you, if you use the side of your crayon, you see how I used that side this morning? I think Nathan did too. You can color a little bit faster. So if I use the tip of my crayon, it'll be more like this. If I use the side of my crayon, I can do it faster and do it more like this. However you like it is perfect. We're just going to color all over. So you can choose to color in like dots or spots, or you can choose to color the whole thing and then layer your colors on top of each other. I'm going to do a little bit of both. So if you're one of those people who gets in trouble for coloring on the table, I have a hint for you. When you're getting to an edge, put another piece of paper underneath so that you color on the other paper instead of getting it on the table. I always got in trouble for coloring on the table. So I learned to put my little piece of paper there. I like my colors to kind of smear together. So I'm going to kind of spread it out like this. But you can do whatever design you want. Like you could do triangles and flowers and all kinds of things. Just keep in mind that once we start folding, your designs are going to get lost a little bit. They'll still look cool. You just won't be able to see the specific thing that you're drawing, right? All right, while you color, I'm going to step away again and be right back. Sorry, friends. Hopefully that's the last time. All right, are you coloring and coloring? Good. If you haven't yet, think about getting ready to move on to the back, because remember, I said that we're going to want to spend more time than we have, right? All right, I'm going to move on to the back of mine too. I hope you send me some pictures so I can see how these look. There's so many different ways to be doing this. I can't wait to see what you chose. Oh, look at this. My yellow and my blue are overlapping and making green. I don't know if you can see that through the computer. That's pretty cool, huh? We know that yellow and blue make green, but it's still cool to see it happen. Except when it's on the tip of your yellow marker, right? And then everything is green after that. I don't like that. But maybe that's just me. Maybe you'd like that. Okay. We're going to get ready to finish up this part, and I'm going to get ready to show you the next part. So I don't know if Miss Natalie said this at the beginning, but remember we record these. So if you want to go back and watch it again and like put it on pause and really take the time that you want to take, you can totally do that. All right. I want to make sure we have time for our movement thing today. So we're going to take just 1 more minute because the complicated part is coming. I've got 2 sides colored, but I do my fast kind of big coloring. Nathan pressed really hard and really took a lot of time filling his in. You can see how much stronger his colors are. You might be doing yours that way too. Uh-oh, my glue is really not sticking on his. Hold it together a little longer. All right, so finish up that coloring. And I'm going to show you what's next. And then give you lots of options. If you're using markers, make sure and click your caps back on, right? Click them. If you're using crayons, get them back where they belong. If you're using colored pencils, get them back where they belong. We use a little tray here that kind of has a compartment for everything, but sometimes it gets a little mixed up, so I'm going to fix that up. All right, are you ready? Here's what's next. So, the beautiful thing about this craft is that nothing has to be perfect. So, we don't need to get on our rulers and measure anything. We're just going to make some guesses and see how it turns out, right? I'm going to fold my paper over a little bit. Can you see that? I don't know, maybe that's 1 inch, maybe it's 1.5 inches. Just a little. We're going to fold it over. You probably don't want a teeny tiny one, and you definitely don't want a great big one, because we're going to use the same piece of paper for our entire flower. So probably about that much, right? And then you're going to line it up on the edge and then make a nice crease. This whole project is about making nice creases. Do you know how to make a nice crease? Because that's going to be important. Let me see if I can show you my table. So I start here, right? I'm going to fold it and line up my edges and hold that there. And then carefully and gently press the rest of it down. And then I'm going to go with my finger right along the crease. So it's nice and crispy, nice crispy crease. Now, if you have little fingers, you might need a grown-up to help you a little bit, okay? Make your creases, but I think you can do it. All right, so it's like your marker caps. You can put them on, and they're not really on. It'll work, kind of, but after a few days, your marker's gonna dry out, right? You wanna click it down. Same thing, you could make a fold, and it'll work. Your flower will turn out, but if you click it down, make it nice and crispy, it will be a little bit easier, and it'll stay a little nicer. Okay, so what we're gonna do is cut along that crease. So we're gonna cut this little strip off. Very carefully, right? I'll give you a second to do that. All right, so I'm gonna put my computer down here again so you can see. We're gonna do a fan fold, and it's a little bit tricky with this small piece. So if you only get like 2 folds out of this, that's okay. If you're older and you want to do a bunch of tiny little folds, more like this one, that's okay too. Middle-aged kids, medium-aged kids might do kind of medium folds, that's okay. So I'm going to fold it, same thing as before, right? Start here and gently fold it down, right? And then don't forget to zip, zip, so you get a nice crispy fold. And then I'm going to flip it and fold it back. Yes? Oh, that one doesn't work so good. There we go. Yes, and then I'm going to flip it. I'm going to fold it back one more time. Now you might have a bunch more folds to do if you're doing teeny tiny ones, and you might also already be done. That's okay. It's still going to turn out. Okay, so if I kind of open this up, I've got these little folds. Do you see that? All right. So this is going to become the center of our flower. If you don't like that center of the flower like that, that's okay. You don't have to make one, or you can make it and not glue it on. That's totally up to you, okay? But I'm going to show you how to make the center. I think the easiest way is to start by wrapping it around a pencil. And if you're going to do that, another thing that can help is to put a little glue on the end. Not on your pencil, but on the end, so it'll help hold the shape. Yeah. If you're working with a grown-up, it might be easier to have the grown-up get it started for you. See, I glued my tip to the rest of the strip, and then I'm just going to carefully, and using my patience, roll it up. Okay? You see better that way? Roll it up. Now, if your folds weren't quite straight, or if they weren't quite crispy, you're going to start to get some bubbles. That's okay. Just kind of smooth things down, right? And if this part gets frustrating and it's not working for you, that's okay too. Set it aside. You don't even need that centerpiece. or you can set it aside and try again later. So I'm just gonna, I wound the whole thing up there. Do you see that? I'm gonna leave it on my pencil for now. So just like we started, when you get to the end, you can either use your glue stick, or I'll show you with this glue, maybe bigger kids wouldn't be doing this, older kids. Just a tiny little drop is all you need. Can you see that tiny little drop on there? I don't know if you can see it or not. Tiny, tiny little drop. Hi, Miss Natalie.
Hi, we have a question.
All right.
Did you cut the strip?
Yes. Cut the strip. So my paper started, I'll put this back up. My paper started this big, and after I cut my strip off, it's this big. All right, so if you didn't cut your strip, and we're gonna do that fan fold. I'll show you the fan fold again, okay? If you're to this part, remember we've decided that it helps if you count to 30. Hold your end down and count to 30. May have already been 30 by now, but let's practice. If you're cutting your strip, go ahead and do that. And start your fan folding if you didn't yet. We're gonna hold the end of our strip down, our folded strip down here so that it will stick. All right, how's everybody doing? We okay? So your finger might have glued to or stuck to the thing a little bit. That's okay. We're gonna leave this on here and set it aside. All right, so leave your strip and set it aside. If you're still getting to that part, that's okay. Keep working and watch what I'm gonna do here. All right, so I have this piece left. Yeah? You have a couple of options. I'm going to show you the easiest option and the quickest option. However, if you want other options, you can trace circles or trace triangles. You can trace whatever shape you want all over this and cut them out. All right? Kind of the more is better, but you know, at least 4 of them. You would want at least 4 shapes out of that. You don't have to get too fancy though. Basic squares like this are going to give you lots of options, and I'll show you how you're going to get lots of options out of them, which is why I'm going to show you the squares, because it's the easiest and fastest. And then you have some more choices when you start folding. So we're going to fold our paper in half. It's probably about a square shape right now, right? This is pretty much a square since we cut our strip off. We're going to fold it in half. Line up my edges. If it's not perfect, that is totally fine. You'll see why. Make sure you make a nice crispy crease. You know, sometimes people like to use a pencil to go. You can do that. And then I'm going to open it up and fold it the other way. Yeah, so I get a fold up and down, and I have my fold sides to sides. If your paper was rectangle, it would be like folding hamburger and hot dog in the same piece of paper. Yeah, but it's a square, so we're folding hamburger 2 different ways. It's probably a square. So we end up with a crease and a crease. Once you get your 2 creases, The only reason we're doing this is to give us some lines to cut instead of measuring with the ruler and all of that, right? When we're older, we'll do that. Or when I'm teaching an older camp, we'll do it that way. We'll say it that way. For this one, we're going to do it the easy way. So what we're going to do is cut along this crease. So you'll have 2 pieces, and you're going to cut and cut to make 4 squares. All right, so let's cut carefully and take your time. I'm a grown up, so I cut fast. But I've got my 2 pieces here. And then, like I say, you're going to cut along that other crease to divide that in half now. It's hard to see the creases, isn't it? You might have to be careful and thoughtful. And if it goes crooked or something, that's okay. It's all right. It'll still work. So at the end, we should have something like 4 squares or rectangles. All right, give you a few minutes or a minute to cut. Take your time, Lexi and Isaiah. Hi.
Hi, Ms. Laura. I don't know if you saw it in the chat window, but we had a request to slow down just a little bit.
Yep, I said take your time.
Got it.
Some kids might still be folding, other kids might be cutting, some kids might be done. If you're done and waiting, that's fine. You can color, you could start another one, right? You could start coloring to do it again. You could wait patiently, you could draw something. I'm going to start talking about what's next for anybody who's ready. If you're not ready, that's okay. You keep working on where you are. Here are some options. If you want a rounder shape flower, like Nathan's, you're going to fold, fan fold again like this. I'll show you how. Don't worry, we're just looking at options right now. If you want a pointier shape flower, like mine, you can fold it diagonally. So you fold it like this. Does that make sense? You could also do super duper fancy and do some of them flat and some of them diagonal, and then put that together in one flower. I actually think that's how I'm going to try it this time. See how it turns out. I don't know. I've never done it before like that, but I'm going to give it a try. Okay, so if you have your 4 squares, or kind of squares, close to squares, you can start experimenting a little bit, maybe like I did, without making your creases crispy, and decide which way you want to fold it. I will tell you, it is easier if you don't like folding, you feel like that's hard. It's easier to fold this way. It's harder to fold diagonally. If you made circles, which is, you know, I said the even harder option for our shapes, you're still going to just do your folds like this, increase them, right? The tinier the folds, the tighter your flower leaves will be. The bigger the folds, the more open your flower leaves will be. Both of them are beautiful, right? Both kinds of flowers exist in the world. However you do yours is just right. All right, so let's make some choices in our folding. If you're there, if you're not there, that's okay. Keep cutting or folding or getting ready. All right, I'm going to do my flat one first, okay? Just to remind us how to do our fan fold. You're going to fold one back. Yes, and then you're going to flip it and fold it back again. So keep folding like toward your computer or keep folding toward your body. It doesn't matter which, just keep folding the same way. I'm going to flip it and fold it back and flip it and fold it back. Flip it, I'm going to fold toward me. Flip it, I'm going to fold toward my computer. Now this can take a long time. Remember, I know that it can take a long time. If it's taking a long time for you, that's okay. Keep folding. All right. If you're going super duper fast, do your 4. Because before we leave today, I'm going to show you how to connect them together, but you may not be ready to connect. And that's okay too. You'll have learned how to do it. All right. I'm going to fold here myself so that I have something to show you when it's time to connect. Did you know that this was supposed to be our last day with me on Tuesdays? But Ridgeville decided to do another whole July session of these workshops. So I get to do 4 more Tuesdays, and Miss B gets to do 4 more Mondays, and Miss JC gets to do 4 more Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Mr. West gets to do 4 more Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Miss Alicia gets to do 4 more Fridays, right? We have new, some new themes that I think are going to be super fun. I get to find some new books. We'll do some new stories. I always follow the same pattern. I always do a book and then a craft and then a movement. Other people do different things, which is really cool. All right, so I'm going to show you. If you chose to fold diagonally, the harder way, you start with the tiny little corner. You see that? Fold that down, and then I flipped it and fold it down, and then I flipped it and fold it down. So I'm going to put my thing down here so that you can see. Yes. Let me start it. Here's my first fold. Fold the corner down, and then I flip it, and I fold it back, and I flip it. So your folds get longer and longer as you move down the diagonal, right? And fold, flip, and fold. So keep making your folds. The tinier your folds are, the more you have to make of them, right? The bigger your folds are, the fewer you have to make. So again, if you don't like making folds, make them a little bigger. It'll still work, you'll see. The other thing I wanted to show you is, look, my folding is getting a little bit crooked here. So I've got, this is my corner, and it's like all the way over here, and this end is much longer. That's okay. It's going to turn out fine in the end. Nature is full of symmetry But interestingly, it's when things aren't quite perfect that we're most drawn to them, right? So when we see a giraffe that it's all white instead of having the yellow and brown spots, that's like goes viral super fast when somebody gets a picture of that thing, right? There is an albino giraffe. Or when we see a flower that has extra petals, or a flower that's missing some petals, we're usually drawn to those things, right? So even though nature is naturally symmetrical, it's okay if it's not perfect. See, this is a little off. It's still gonna work. All right, is everybody folding and folding? I've got one folded this way and I've got one folded this way. This is how they look, which I think is also kind of cool. All right, keep folding and folding. I'm going to show you how to connect these, but we may not connect them together. I may leave that for you to do after we hang up because you have to let the glue dry in between each one. And I want to do our movement thing today. It'll be fun. We've only got about, 7 minutes left. My goodness. All this folding takes a lot of time and a lot of patience, right? I know, you're going to have to recuperate. You know, recuperate means take a break, right? Do something different. Help our minds and our brains and our bodies and our hearts have a chance to resettle. Okay. I'm going to finish folding my last square here, and then we're all going to take a pause, and I'll show you how to connect them. This one got very crooked, but that's okay. Still gonna work. Okay, everybody, let's take a pause. We're gonna, wherever you are, this is the next step. If you have some ready to do it, let's do it. I'm gonna fold them in half and make a crease. Look, I've got a little baby fan. It's like a fairy fan. Look at that. If you're folding on the diagonal, same thing. Fold it in half and make a crease. That looks like fairy wings. Look at that, fairy wings with her fairy fan. You could attach it to a fairy that you make. I'm going to do that for all 4 of them, okay? Fold them in half. If you don't have 4 ready to go, that's okay. You know that that's what happens next. Now, the next step. You're going to take 2 of them and put glue all along the sides. Okay? On the outside of the bend, so the outside of the fan. It's easier to put the glue on when you stretch them out. I think this part is much easier to use glue stick, right? If you're not ready yet, just watch so that you know what the step is. The most important thing is to glue the centers together here. So make sure that the majority of your glue stick is in the center. And then you can take it out to the edges too. All right, just watch if you're not here yet. That's okay. So I've got my glue stick. I still know where my center fold is. I'm going to line my other 2 up on the bottom. You see that? So I've got my 1 and my 2. Remember that my other one that has the glue stick on it is still sitting here. Put it where you can see it. So these are the 2 that I did not put glue stick on. Yes? I'm going to put them in the middle. It's like the glue stick ones are the bread, and the middle ones that I'm putting in are the cheese. Yes? If you're not ready yet, that's okay. And I'm going to take my other glue stick one and put it on top of my cheese. And I'm going to squeeze everything together. So it's weird, I'm kind of flattening everything out here. But once my glue stick is ready, once my glue has stuck, my fingers are sticking. Once my glue has stuck, I can open it back up and it will look how we're looking for it. Okay. Usually I say count to 30, right? Then we can open it up. Here's my 1 petal. Remember, I folded mine 2 different ways to see what would happen. Here's my other one. My glue is still a little wet, so I'm holding my center together here, which is tricky. There's my 3rd one. Here's my 4th one. You see? So if you're not to get glued together yet, that's okay. I'm just going to show you what's next, and we're all going to take a pause together. If you want to, remember we made this strip roll at the beginning. You can take your roll off and glue it right in the middle. And there's our flower. You see it? Once your glue is completely dried, you can shape your petals a little bit too. Make them how you like them. Now from there, you could make stems. You can make leaves. You can make, you can use a pipe cleaner to make a stem. You could tie some string around and make like a mobile, right? You can do all kinds of things from here. Okay? All right, so wherever you are, let's take a recuperation. Put your things away or put your things aside. We're going to move out of our chairs. And we're going to do a 1-minute little movement thing. Kind of a yoga thing. Kind of. It's more like you creating your own. All right, so put your things aside. We're going to step out and you're going to lay down. I'm going to stay a little closer to the computer so that you can hear me, because you don't need to see me at first. We're going to lay down on the floor. And once you lay down, remember what flowers need to grow, or what seeds need to grow, including flower seeds. We need dirt. So wiggle, wiggle, wiggle down into the dirt. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Imagine that you can really feel the dirt. Now, if you don't like getting dirty, that's okay. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle into a nice clean spot. And then we're going to imagine that there's either a nice, gentle little raindrops falling on you from the sky, or maybe you really like to be out in hard rain. You can imagine rain coming down on you, getting wet. If you don't like to get wet, that's okay. Imagine that rain going somewhere else, not on you. And then imagine that you can feel the sunshine onto your whole body, round and round and round and round. You've got your dirt, you've got your water, you've got your sunshine, and you're going to gather all that energy up into your body. We're not going to jump around with it. We're going to go really, really slow with it. All right. So this is the part that I'll show you, do it with you, because I think it might be harder to hear me. So gathering all of that energy up, I'm going to make a tiny little ball. Tiny little ball. And then I'm going to grow your seed, growing, right? Put your feet right beside each other. Roll up nice and slow. I gotta move my feet so you can see my whole body. And then we're gonna grow your stems or your flower petals way up into the air. So you're growing by pressing down into the floor. Reach your roots down into the floor. And then at the same time, reach the opposite direction, way up into the sky. So these are not dancing flowers. These are growing flowers, right? So your feet stay where they are. And we're gonna take a big deep breath in and let your stems or your flower petals or whatever it is relax a little bit. And I want you to feel your feet. Do they feel heavy? Do they feel kind of stuck? Do they feel like they want to run? Do they feel like they want to go happy hop? Sometimes people say they really want to go happy hop. And other times people say their feet feel really, really stuck. So I always leave you with a challenge, right? My challenge to you today is to finish your flowers, your folding and your gluing, and then do your growing. And I wonder if you could soak up so much energy from that dirt and sun and rain, if you could stand up without even using your hands. Ooh. Stand up without even using your hands and reach into the sky. And maybe even blow around in the wind a little bit without moving your feet. And see if you can make your feet feel stuck. Yeah? See if you can make them feel stuck. And if you can't, that's okay. Your body does what it does, and that is perfectly right. Okay, we are all done today. I hope that we had enough time for you to feel like you understand what's coming, and I can't wait to see pictures of your flowers. I saw that Miss Natalie just put her email address in there, so you can send us pictures. We love seeing your pictures. This is how the flower I made today ended up. So I'll work on that a little bit. Thank you for joining.
So pretty, Laura.
What's that?
You said, what a fun activity today. Those are so pretty.
Yeah, I love them. And also, if you decide you want to make butterflies too, send me pictures of your butterflies. And have butterflies and flowers floating around together. I can't wait. Yay. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Well, if you're going to join us this afternoon at 2 o'clock for Interactive Camp with Wes, we'll see you this afternoon. If not, we'll see you later this week. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody. Oh, do my hug.